and Stripes?
Wes Clark, Stars and Stripes.
General?
Yeah. Retired general.
Yeah, but still, you know, it's the man.
Still get to carry the rank.
That's right. Yeah.
Are you you're not a contestant?
No, ma'am.
What is your position?
I'm not a contestant. I'm a co-host. Samantha and I are co-hosting.
You were a contestant in life.
Yes, exactly.
You've already earned your stripes.
The
Yeah.
general's
I'm not
gone through
contesting.
this in real life.
Been there, done it, got the T-shirt to prove it.
When you when you signed on to this, I'm sure authenticity was a huge concern for you. How did you, both of you, frankly, ensure that this would authentically reflect the kind of depth and mental training that?
Well, I asked a lot of questions, and as soon as I got on set, I looked at things, I talked to people, I went around, I looked at the weapons, I looked at the ranges, I asked about the scenarios, I talked to everybody I could talk to. Not only authenticity, but also safety. Because, you know, for as much as we do in the military, if you ever lose a soldier in training, just never, ever forgive yourself. And it's happened. It happens. So I didn't want our show marred by some terrible accident that could be prevented. So we looked at this very carefully. That was what I wanted to do before it got started.
The show is a live fire exercise.
Oh, absolutely.
It is. What's very interesting about this show is that clearly I'm grateful that the network was able to convince General Clark to be a co-host on the show, because not only does it give the authenticity and the credibility, but just having his expertise on set as really an on-set consultant, even though he didn't sign up to be that, he really ended up being that because that's his nature. And every single day when we were talking through the missions or in the field ready to begin a mission, he would go through step by step. He would make sure that it was as authentic as possible, and also that, as he said, that the safety was paramount, as of course was very important and the utmost importance to our producers as well.
General Clark, in the history of your service, you've seen the ebb and flow of the American military personnel being lauded and condemned. Why do you think we're at this high point right now? Why do you feel that the American public has come around to embrace the American fighting person?
Yeah, well, it's an important question. Look, after Vietnam, where we had some wonderful Americans serving who never got the credit from the American people because there was a draft and it was the policy and a lot of things went wrong. We rebuilt the armed forces, and we built the kind of skills and character and commitment that is obvious in the professionalism of the young men on this show, the Stars and Stripes. And in particular, we built the special operations community. We learned from Desert One in 1980 that we had to have people who did this every day. No pickup teams, professionals. And these guys show it. They are professional. And the American public, they recognize quality when they see it. You know, it's like when the Navy SEALs went in to get Osama bin Laden. They didn't fumble. They didn't drop the ball. Stuff happened, shouldn't have happened. A helicopter went down. They recovered. They, you know, they did they called a Blue 92 at the line of scrimmage, and it was a different play, and they did the job. That's how good our people are. I'm not saying it's impossible for anybody else in the world to be that good, but we're really, really good. When you put the whole package together for the United States Armed Forces, there's nothing like it anywhere.
What's a favorite charity of yours?
Well, I think USO is great. I think CAUSE, which is for disabled veterans, is another great charity for veterans. So those are the ones I like.
Samantha?
Well, of course, on this show, we have 8 different veterans and first responder charities that are benefiting from the winnings of the celebrities. So I think, and they've each handpicked the charities they wanted to be aligned with. So in that, I think that is incredible. For me, I do work with Feeding America, which is the nation's #1 hunger relief organization. And in San Diego, San Diego has the largest food bank that serves veterans' families. And to me, the idea of a veteran returning from service and not being able to afford to buy enough food to feed his family all month long is a very disheartening thought. So I love that the work that I do with Feeding America helps to put food on the tables for these veterans' families. And we're doing an event in San Diego coming up to raise awareness about that.
So Samantha, getting to the
Sorry, I just want to follow up on that. Was it ever a hope that joblessness with veterans coming home is at an all-time high? Was it ever a hope that this is almost a way of highlighting some of the skills?
Well, of course it is. I mean, when you see these young men on this show, you think, boy, I'd like to have a guy like that working for me. He's got character, he's smart, he innovates. This is what we're showing off to the American public. It's one of the reasons I wanted to be on this show, because it'll help. But let's don't make any mistake about it. We've got a lot of great young people in America who aren't veterans. They're in there working too. So we've got to create jobs for all Americans, not just for veterans, but my heart goes out to these veterans. They're really good.
And to follow up on that question, and then to follow up on that question, also just our show as its own entity hired veterans to work in the crew as well as a part to play a part in this and reach out and help to employ veterans.
Okay, now, on a slightly lighter note.
Sure.
You're the host, but how do you think you would do if you were in the field, you know, participating in some of these?
Well, let me tell you, General Clark tried to get a gun in my hand the whole time, and I was I definitely was amped up, you know, watching all of the celebrities suit up and get out there on these missions. It makes you want to be able to take part, and it looks tough and challenging, but it looks exciting and so thrilling that I would love the opportunity to do it. How would I do? You know, I think I would do okay because I love cardio, I love physical fitness, and that is one major element to this. However, you also have to be a great shot because there are a lot of targets that you must hit throughout these missions, and if you don't hit those targets, let me tell you, you don't do very well. So I think I'd have to get to target practice. But back in camp when I was about 11, I was very good on the riflery range, so we'll have to see if that can come into play again.
General, can you talk about
Clark,
the situation that happened with Terry Crews? Were you there when that happened? Without giving in too much away, what was that like? What did you see from your perspective? What happened?
Well, what I saw was the things I've seen elsewhere. You're asking people to do something that's very, very difficult. There's risk in it. And before we ever did those missions, I checked out and made sure we had the right border safety command and control in place and the right people in place to prevent some tragedy if something like that happened. So, no, it's tough, but those things happen. And I went through Ranger School, and we had guys in Ranger School who, they couldn't even go to the Ranger School. They thought they could swim, they really couldn't swim. But they couldn't do it.
Let's get another question.
You ran for president. We're in the own campaign cycle now. You're Washington insider. I reckon you know a lot more than the rest of us. But then running, what did you learn running that you didn't know before?
You're asking me what did I learn running for president?
Ah.
Well, this is about Stars and Stripes. What I learned is I love the men and women in uniform. I had a great time in my military career. And one of the things I loved about this show was that I didn't have to worry about being a NATO commander. I didn't have to worry about negotiations with foreign secretaries of state and all that. This is about the troops. And this is the things I did as a major and lieutenant colonel in training, setting up training exercises and doing after-action reviews and watching and coaching and building teams. It was a great experience for me, and I love doing it.
It sounds like your military experience was easier than a political experience for you.
Well, it's like anything you do in life. Experience helps. And in the armed forces, everybody starts as either a private or a second lieutenant, and you go up from there. In politics, a lot of people start and they run for the school board or they run for local office, or like in my state, our senator, his father was a senator. So around the dinner table at night, he'd heard all these things. I got drafted to run for the presidency, and just like a good military guy on your first jump in jump school, you know, you get on the plane thinking, am I going to really make this parachute jump? Am I really going to jump out of an airplane? And people start saying, you need to run for the presidency. I think, well, it's a real honor. I mean, I'm not quite sure I would do it. I called it the campaign of the 4 no's when I started it. I had no experience, I had no money, I had no staff, and there was no defined strategy. I still won Oklahoma. We raised over $20 million, and it was a wonderful experience. I learned a lot. But business, the military, politics, experience counts.
General, what did you learn about television production? It's so akin to what you've been doing your entire life.
Yeah, there's a lot of great people in this production business. I was very impressed with the production team on this Stars and Stripes. They knew how to adapt. They were innovative. They could flex. They worked late hours. They were task-oriented, not time-oriented. They were really good.
When you talk about this being a celebration of troops and the training of the level of skill they have to learn, is the future dream of the military, though, to have this be a different kind of training where lives really don't have, where the body and mental, the whole body doesn't have to be stressed like this? You can just send a drone. It would be a computerized thing. You could do it from a
Well,
safe
first of all, I would
environment.
tell you that even the people who are there at Nellis Air Force Base flying those drones, they're under tremendous physical stress. The idea that they've got people's lives hanging in the balance, the fear of making a mistake, trying to interpret reality through even what's the equivalent of high definition television, is very, very hard. But the real enhancement in the armed forces is what we're showing in this show. It's the ability of a few people to bring tremendous combat power to bear with precision. The kinds of activities you're seeing here are the kinds of activities we can actually do. But instead of blowing up a house, we might be using in actual warfare a laser designator and bringing in a 2,000-pound bomb from an aircraft, or planting a beacon and having a flight of B-52s come and carpet bomb an area. And so lots of things can be done with just a small footprint on the ground if you have the right quality of people on the ground. And the development of the armed forces in the last 30 years has emphasized these special operations skills in particular. We know the key to American military experience is we have the best technology, we have the best people, and we take care of them. We reduce casualties to the absolute minimum, and we focus on the decisive point on the battlefield. We bring all our resources to bear with minimum forward footprint. That's what we're about. So the viewer is getting a small appreciation for what you might call was a complete revolution in military affairs from the Army of World War II and Beetle Bailey and Sad Sack and GIs peeling potatoes. That was the greatest generation. They did the best they could, but technology and warfare has moved on. This is a different time.
Samantha, you mentioned cardio. What's your favorite cardio? What you mentioned you like it. So what is it for you?
It's changing it up every day, basically making my body guess and not know what's coming next. So whether it's running stairs or doing a boot camp class that combines treadmill running with compound movements with weights, to gently placing my 18-month-old on my back in a carrier and going on a power walk or running stairs with her. Well, I don't run, I walk.
Well, how about some of those push-ups we were talking
and
about?
the push-ups that this guy can do, let me tell you, he knows how to swim too.
You're still doing heavy-duty push-ups, huh?
Well, you've got to continue to do weight training, you've got to do cardio, you've got to do flexibility training. So you've got to find a way to do it. So I did a lot of running in the military. I was a swimmer in college. When I turned 50, I started getting back into the pool, and I'm still swimming. I'm doing master swimming occasionally. I try to keep up with the older women. These people in their 30s and 40s are really good. And so, but I do my best, and it's about health. It's not about, for me, it's not about winning medals. It's just about being as healthy as you can be and physically fit, active.
Having a healthy lifestyle. And being on this show, it was an incredible experience being around such fit special ops and celebrities. And therefore, even just looking at the craft service table and seeing the healthy options, it was so nice. It wasn't a nice, beautiful buffet of donuts. Instead, it was egg whites and protein bars and fruit. And that was, for me, that's my pig in the mud. Like, I get excited. And then the little candy.